Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
The German town of Hockenheim has become synonymous with motor racing thanks to its famous circuit, which has transformed from a high-speed blast through the forest to a thoroughly modern autodrome, which is where we see the iRacing Formula 3.5 Championship visit for Round 7 here on Apex Racing TV. I am Tim Cox. In the virtual production trailer, we have got John Robertson, and as always, I'm joined by Seb Bosher-Williams. Seb, welcome along. So far this season, it has been a clean sweep of 6 victories from 6 for Samborski, with 6 fastest laps and 4 pole positions to boot, with only Shirakawa taking those pole positions away from him. That coming at round 4 at Monza, round 5 at Watkins. Now, if I was a betting man, I'd go for another Samborski victory here today, and also for the fastest lap for him too. But are we going to see another Samborski pole potentially here in Germany?
Good evening, Tim. Good evening to everybody tuning in at home. I mean, the statistics are certainly on Samborski's side, you know, especially when it comes to the race win. His qualifying performances have been, I mean, amazing too. I mean, you know, the first time that he wasn't on the pole was at Monza, where he chose just not to run the fastest setup because he didn't like the way that, you know, it was actually a high downforce setup around Monza was quicker. So if you sort of take that out, he's only been bested in qualifying really once this season. So, you know, Samborski, I think, you know, has definitely got the pace. I mean, can anybody dethrone Samborski for a victory in this season? It would be nice, but he's got so much consistency, so much raw pace, and a huge wealth of knowledge about how to drive the Formula Renault 3.5 to their absolute limits that I just don't see anybody coming close to Samborski at the moment.
No, I'm completely and utterly agree with you on that one. I can't see it being dethroned whatsoever, but I tell you what, qualifying is well underway as Josh Stewart taking provisional pole. The Aussies locking out the provisional front row himself, and Jason Sieg on the front row for now as Duresho pops in to second place. Shirakawa displacing Stewart. The Sieg going quicker too. There 2 laps, of course, as always. Close qualifying, 2 laps available to our drivers. Here comes Samborski the last couple of corners. What are we going to see from him? Is it going to be another pole position for the American as he cuts the timing beam? Well, there you go. On provisional pole for now by nearly 0.2 of a second over Sieg with a 122.399. He's back to qualifying ways once again as a return to the pole. Last time out in Japan at Okayama. Of course, that was the third time we visited Japan so far this season. We've still got another round in Japan to go. Twin Ring in 2 weeks' time. Yeah, final iteration it's in Japan after 4 rounds there in 1 season, a third of the season. Ricky Stewart just coming around for his final lap out of the final corner. What is he going to do? Run out of Suka for the best of anyone in the final sector. Gets himself up into 4th. Second row of the grid for the Aussie. As there is Javier Bonamati, another driver yet to complete all of his laps. Going through the last few corners out of the stadium section. Through Suka. That's the pit entry. And where is he going to come? He's on a slightly improving lap and cuts the timing beam. Well, it's good enough to display Shirakawa. Get himself up into 5th. 3rd row of the grid still, but starting 1 place ahead. And that's looking like, well, I was going to say we're done and dusted in qualifying because Gallus pops up into 7th place at the depth. Good solid lap from him. Himself in amongst everyone else. James Mallow yet to set a time. Ludovic Ranchon, one of the big stories from qualifying, didn't get a time in and has abandoned qualifying, so he's going to start from the back of the grid. 18 cars here today in Germany. Round 7 of the championship, but can you believe it, Seb? We're already halfway through the season. We're entering into the second half of the season. Where does the time fly?
I don't know. It's absolutely incredible. I mean, 6 races, 7 tonight. What I find, equally fascinating is that Samborski and Shirakawa are currently having a chat in the in-sim chat, and they're discussing, who has the world record, and there's some sort of mutterings going on that Samborski's pole position lap time might have been the fastest lap time that we've seen at all this season around here, which would be something special. I mean, I love the fact that, these drivers are really close competitors on the track, and then as soon as they get off the track, they have a nice little chat, and it's just such a friendly community to be a part of. So yeah, I like that little bit of insight there. Samborski, though, I mean, can anybody stop this man? Can anything stop this man at this point? I mean, he's absolutely relentless.
He is. He's already had 4 Grand Chelems to his name so far this season. Zuka, Imla, Fuji, 3 on the bounce, and then Okayama last time out. That's, of course, for starting on pole, getting the fastest lap, leading every lap, and picking up the victory. So basically, every time he's qualified on pole, he's gone on to completely and utterly dominate. Are we going to see the same here in Germany? Well, he's already completed 1 step in the roster, and there he is, up on pole. Jason Sieg joining him on the front row. Carlos Duresha, he's on the second row with Josh Stewart, the 2 Aussies starting one behind one another there. Javier Bonamati starts in 5th with Yuki Shirakawa in 6th. The 4th row of the grid is Daniel Gallus with Omar Baha. Dylan Freckleton, a great qualifying race before he had that spin last time out. Pay to his aspirations, nearly could have come away with a really strong result. He starts with Eric Weiselmalski on the 5th row of the grid. Shane Lambert, he's got Jay Lawrence for company, another one of our Aussies in the series. Alberto Lobo as Tashiki Shindoi joining him for company. John Owens as Yari Kumanen, and Ludovic Ranchon didn't get a time in qualifying. First lap got deleted, abandoned the second. He starts from the back of the grid with James Mallow on the 9th row. 18 car grid here at the Hockenheimring. Everything to play for. Just wait for the last few drivers to take to the grid before we head out into tonight's festivities. 26 laps here of fun, thrill, spills, and drama in the iRacing Formula Renault 3.5 Championship. And who is going to take the victory? Let's find out, because here come the lights, and let's get ready to go racing in Germany. And we are away. What a stop from Samborski. But Marty as well. Big incident. Stewart caught up in that one, I believe, as well. Wow. Drama off the start line before we've even reached turn 1. But what a start from Carlos Drescher. Dylan Freckleton at 6 places. Lambert up 7. Really capitalising from that drama down at the start line. Stewart, Baha, all caught up in that Shirakawa too. Wow, Seb. I knew we'd have excitement and drama. I said about it before the races, we were grinning up, but I was not expecting that. And could this be redemption for Freckleton after last time out in Okayama? Race down to the hairpin. See, Rancho, where has he come from the back of the grid? Up into 6th already, the Frenchman. What a start from him, just getting past Sieg there into the hairpin. Wow. What? I'm left speechless, Seb. I'm left speechless.
Huge. I'm speechless too. Huge drama at the start. It reminded me, I think in 2014, in the real life Formula 3.5, there was a huge start line accident at Silverstone, and it looked almost identical. Cars flying everywhere. I'm not quite sure what happened there. I think Josh Stewart maybe didn't get away from the grid. Bonamati maybe made contact with the back, and it all just unfolded. You can see the tyre marks in the grass from where there was a huge, where there was the huge accident. Jason Sieg now into the pit, so another victim of the start. I mean, Josh Stewart is out of the race. Omar Baha as well. Shirakawa was caught up in that as well. I think Bonamati, Daniel Gallis as well, all losing places at the start. They're almost 3 wide as we head towards turn 2. Down the inside goes the 16 car. That's going to be close to contact him.
Oh, it is incredibly close, and there you go, Seb. There's the contact cars everywhere, left, right, centre. John Owens caught up in that one. Shindoi too. I think that's here in the background. But, well, it's the race down to Spetscurve between Lawrence and Lobo. Lawrence up the inside there, but he's looking for the cut back there. The Iberian, Alberto Lobo, not quite able to get it done.
Come on, guys. Just call it.
Seb, we're only on lap 2. We've got another 24 laps to go of this. This could be a real race to remember, a jewel in the crown for this season.
I mean, it started off crazy. I mean, everybody just needs to calm down. There's a long race to go. It's the 26th lap race around Hockenheim. It's a long track around here. This is the start. Let's try and unpick what happened here. This is Samborski. He's going to get away absolutely perfectly. See, you can see the car jumping. So that's him engaging first gear. He gets away. So much wheel spin from the back and gets tagged there by Stewart. And, it all just unfolds. And Jason Sieg, they have to stop. They're stationary on the race start. I don't think I've ever seen something as extraordinary as that, Tim. They were stationary. Bonamati now into the pits.
Frightening. It's... Well, there you go. They head down. This is Freckleton and Lambert battling it out for that last place on the podium, a crucial place that, well, could go anywhere. I mean, don't discredit Ranchon. He picked his way through, like the perennial knife through butter, all the chaos going on right in front of his eyes. 11 places in the opening lap. I mean, I struggle. Some series, Seb, don't even have 11 drivers in it, let alone to pick up 11 places on the opening lap. Well, I'm not sure how he managed to find his way through. Weissmarsky at 5. Lambert, you can see there, currently in 4th. He's up 7. Freckleton up 6. It's big gains or big losses and nothing in between here in Germany.
I mean, no, Ranchon, superb job. I'm sure he probably gained most of those positions before even getting into turn 1. I just still don't quite understand what happened at the start, if I'm completely honest. I think Stewart, though, taking the blame for that in the chat. But I tell you what, Tim, you know, if we look back towards the race, look at Dreshko. Last lap, a 10th quicker than Eddie Samborski. Is Carlos Dreshko the one to take the fight to Samborski? Samborski at the moment really not able to escape the DRS range, the slipstream range, like we've seen Lambert now having a look at Freckleton.
Well, he's up the inside for the American, and that is him up into third, but Freckleton looking for the cutback, and he's going to get it as they almost touch wheels coming out of Spitz curve there on the race down to Mercedes. And Freckleton just about gets ahead. He's going to have the inside line, and that is the move reclaimed 2 corners later. But look, there is Wojciechowski right on the tail of the pair of them. And where this was a 2-way fight, it's turning into a 3-way fight that could go absolutely anyway. We've still got 22 laps remaining. And, well, this is going to chop and change. And this is all up for grabs for the last place on the podium. That's a heavily damaged car there.
That's Shirakawa.
That is, isn't it? As he's heading into the pits, he's had another incident. A race to forget for the Japanese driver. So we're right on board with Lambert right in the trails of Freckleton. Now, if Lambert's sensible, surely here, Seb, he'll wait and get him heading through Parabolica, that long sweeping left-hander.
He's done it perfectly. He set up Freckleton, made Freckleton defend to the inside through turns 2 and 3, really compromise his exit. Now Lambert going to be on the DRS, I think, as well, try and get the move done. If Lambert switched on, what he's going to do is try and sort of keep Freckleton to the outside, but no, just clean gets ahead of him before the braking zone. Freckleton has a half-hearted look into the hairpin, although that's made Lambert go wide now into the hairpin. So Freckleton once again side by side as they head towards Spitz curve. Who is going to come out on top? Freckleton once again, but this time Lambert's feeling adventurous down the inside. They're so close to contact at the apex of turn 8, but Lambert holds the position. He takes third in this race. Freckleton, though, looking really spicy with his defensive moves. In the background there, Ludwig Ranchon, you wouldn't have even guessed that he would have started in 18th place, just quietly lapping away in 6th and just closing up onto the back of the pack. Do you think Ranchon is looking at a podium here?
Well, funnily enough, Sam, I was just looking at the last lap times, and of the 3 cars in front of him, Lambert, Freckleton, Wojciechowski, he was quicker than all of them by a considerable margin. As they cut the time being once again, I mean, the quickest out of the 3 in front of him was Lambert at 25.1, Ranchon 24.8. I mean, put it in perspective, that was a full 1.3 seconds quicker than Freckleton and Wojciechowski. You see the graphic up on screen right now. Ranchon versus Wojciechowski. He's coming, the Frenchman. He's coming. He can smell. He can almost see. He can practically touch a place on the podium, and what looked like a race to forget, starting from the back of the grid, could be a fruitful event for him, as this is a Lawrence versus Kulmanen. And that is up the inside for the Aussie, where it's not worked out for his fellow countryman, as Segan Stewart. Jay Lawrence is trying to make hay while the sun is shining here in Germany. And talking of the weather, we haven't touched on it yet. A nice cool 19 degrees Celsius track temperature, plenty of grip available out there for the drivers. As you mentioned earlier, Sarah, about Dresho and Samborski. Could he take the fight to the American? Well, they're lapping with similar lap times, and Samborski is not quite getting away like we expect to see from Dresho. As you know, we've seen these so many times this season. That's the gap between them. 9/10 of the second, and so Dresho he's keeping within slipstream range of the American, but he is burning through those DRSs. There you go, you can see he's using one up there. They have 8 available to them. They can use them at any point of the lap. It's all going to be used, I get the feeling, out of turn 2, I'm throwing Parabolica, and then through the Parabolica. And unfortunately, we don't know how many they've quite used up, but I get the feeling Samborski is keeping hold of his, keeping them guarded closely and safely under lock and key. Seeing Lobo just making a bit of progress there against defending from Jay Lawrence.
I think Lobo was just passed by Gallus there. I think Lobo made a mistake on the entry to turn 6. He was very slow off the apex, I should say. This is Gallus gaining in the slipstream, not making or attempting a move. So I think this is just going to be Lobo's mistake. Up on the exit, that V8, it's so much torque, and those rear tyres unable to cope with the torque demand that Lobo was trying to get from the rear tyres. And in what you were mentioning, Tim, about Samborski in Dreshko, last lap was, Samborski has only been quicker on a few occasions over Dreshko. Dreshko last lap about 1/10 of a second quicker than Eddie Samborski, but you picked it up really well. Dreshko is using some DRSs to keep up with Samborski, so I wonder if that's a little bit artificial at the moment, and once Dreshko either decides to not use any more DRSs or runs out of them, that Samborski is going to slowly pull away. But Freckleton coming back, so this is Viametsky trying to get past Dylan Freckleton. Freckleton just falling down the order at the moment. It was Lambert a few laps ago, now it's Viametsky, and Ranchon's not too far behind. I think Freckleton almost just has to let this move go, just accept the inevitable, not defend, because Viametsky's just got so much pace at the moment. He could just put the car wherever he wants to, and Freckleton just looks like he's struggling out there at the moment, Tim.
Look who's looming in the background. Ludwig Ranchon. Looking to climb some more places here at the Hockenheimring. Not content with the 11 that he made up off the start line. They even reached turn 1. How many more can he climb? Because he is closing in on Freckleton and Weisermalski. Lambert is heading off into the distance, looking at as things stand at the moment. 2 Americans on the podium. Onto the brakes, they come into Einfahrt Parabolica. They turn off into the new part of the circuit. Also received major renovations, this circuit, all the way back in 2001. Seems like a lifetime ago now, 11 years, where to head off into the distance, into the forest. You can still see the outline of it on Google Earth, but Freckleton under pressure to rejoin what was the old circuit through Spetskurve now.
He's losing so much time, Freckleton. He almost just needs to let Viametsky go through, because Ranchon is just getting closer and closer on the defensive again to the Mercedes arena. Freckleton's just losing touch with the drivers ahead and just being caught by the drivers behind. You have to think, at what point does Freckleton just admit that the game is up and just try and sort of play the long game here?
Seb, you know full well yourself, these are racing drivers, and that doesn't even come into the equation. Freckleton is desperate to hold on to that fourth place. He wants redemption after the last time out at Okayama, where he was in the shout of being on the podium. New fastest lap last time around from Samborski, 123.8. First driver into the 123s. He's putting pedal to the metal right now. Trying to pull away from Duresho, and that gap is open to 1.6 seconds, so he's dropped him from being in slipstream range to become onto the brakes. And can Weisermalski mount an attack onto Freckleton? Well, let's find out. No DRS being used by Freckleton from what I can tell. No, that's definitely still open, that rear wing, because in Formula Renault 3.5 works the opposite as what you see in Formula 1. When the wing opens in Formula 1, he's actually close to stall the wing and create less downforce in 3.5. As they head into Mercedes Arena.
Viametsky's got an issue, Tim. Sorry to cut in there. I don't know if you heard on the back straight, he was hitting the limiter in 6th. So even, Freckleton is honestly got quite a good chance of keeping the position. Viametsky is not going to have the overspeed. What Viametsky has made a strategical error with his strategy.
I said he was only saying about this time last lap, should Freckleton just give up the place and allow Weisermalski to just head off into the distance? Well, clearly, well, he's able to defend Seb. I think the answer to that is plain and simple, no. And Weisermalski, where he doesn't have enough gearing in that car, is now coming under a whole world of pain, because Ludovic Ranchon is right on his tail right now as the Frenchman. And you get the feeling that if it's not this lap, certainly on the next, he will be making his way past Weisermalski. And this is going to be frustrating for Weisermalski, because even with the DRS, Seb, it's already maxing out without it in terms of top speed. If he uses them, then it's going to cost. It's going to be almost a pointless exercise. Yes, he'll get to that top speed ever so slightly quicker, but it'll just burn out and make no progress as they head round Spitzker for the 11th time today. Lap 11, Samborski leads from Duresho. Lambert in third. Freckleton, we can see in the front of this three-car battle. Weisemowski, Granschenhall we're currently on board with. Gallus is in 7th. Lobo 8th. Lawrence and Kulmanen going to run out your top 10. Owens 11th. Mallow 12th. Shindoi 13th. Tegan Bonmarti still running, but well off the pace after being caught up with a start line. Wow, massive incident. Shirakawa kept the car going, but with heavy damage and then retired back on lap 2. Stewart and Baha, well, didn't even see the first corner, retired just over the start line after being caught up in that massive incident. Stewart into the back of Jason Sieg, which kick-started it all. Car skittling left, right, centre, up, down, all over the place as Ranchon closes in on the back of Weisemowski. As there is John Owens on the attack, trying to get himself inside the top 10 against Coolmon, and up the inside goes Owens, and the American is through. But what sort of fight back is the Finnish driver going to make through Parabolica? Has he got the gearing? Well, I'll tell you what, Owens using one of his 8 DRSs to keep hold of this position. You can hear him maxing out down the straight, Seb. A few drivers, maybe in positions that they wouldn't have thought they'd be in, are not got enough gearing in the car and are topping out well before they even reach getting remotely close to the braking zone.
Yeah, you're right. The second car that we've heard so far. Of course, you want to run the gearing as short as possible, because the longer gearing that you have, the worse acceleration you'll get out of the corners. And it just sort of strikes that either the drivers don't really want to have too much overspeed on the straight, or what would I suspect is, they're just not. It didn't do any of their practice with any drivers around. I mean, you can sort of work yourself into a little bit of a corner, really, if you do mostly, lone practices. You could dial the setup in really well, but, you'll lack any of the ability to practice behind another car and test if your gear ratios are a little bit too short. We hear Weisemowski down the straight. I mean, maxing out really early. It looks like he's got a superb run at the moment on Dylan Freckleton, but that's going to stall out in a minute. You just see, it almost feels like Weisemowski just hits a brick wall. Ranchon as well. He's dropped off the back of this fight. So Ranchon's pace, Tim, that he had a few laps ago seems to have disappeared, at least for the time being. And Ranchon in no man's land once again. It seems like Freckleton's got a really good shout at the moment of staying in 4th place.
Ranchon just dropping off the back of them right now. And Weisemowski, see where he's stronger in this stadium part of the track against Freckleton. Freckleton just able to hold on to fend off the advances of Weisemowski through the back straight. Really a true straight by its name, but nearest damn it, the long arcing left-handed curve that is Parabolica. There's Weisemowski out wide a little bit there. Not going to help him at all. His advances to try and get past Freckleton, who's really dropped off the back of Lambert. He's put out about a 5-second advantage over the Brit right now in 4th place.
And that all happened, sorry Tim to cut in, that all happened when Freckleton was battling with Weisemowski. He was close, and then, that defensive moves, especially defending into turn 6 and turn 8, really cost him that time.
I'll tell you what, Bonamati, he was in front of Lambert and he's held him up. Not deliberately, I'm saying, but Lambert's lost quite a bit of time to him, and that gap has just shrunk to 1.9 seconds, Seb, from 5 seconds. That's how much it's cost Lambert dearly. There's the Jaeger Racing driver. You can see Freckleton and there's Bonamati in between them right there. Number 6, he pulls over to one side to allow Freckleton and Weisemowski to head through, but all of a sudden what looked like Wow, a distant chance of getting onto the podium for Freckleton. Slowly transforming, and can he get himself back up there in the second half of the race? We're on lap 15 out of 26, 11 left to go here in Germany. Round 7, the Formula Renault 3.5 Championship. Samborski leads from Duresho, Lambert in the last podium position, but for now that gap is shrinking. It's come down once again, and has Lambert got issues because he's just lost 0.3 of a second to Freckleton in the turn 1 Nord curve alone. Freckleton and Vasilevsky are coming, and they're coming fast.
His last lap time, Lambert, was a 27 flat. 3 seconds off the pace. You can see it right there. Is Lambert picked up a little bit of floor damage? We've seen in other races. I think Shirakawa picked up some damage, I think at Imola a few races ago, and that absolutely ruined his race. Whereas Lambert just simply got a little bit distracted by the lap traffic and unable to find his rhythm again. I'm not quite sure. That car looks fairly decent. You normally tend to see a little bit of damage to the floor. It's quite visual in these cars. Don't see anything there, but you know, Lambert really starting to come under pressure now, Tim, from Freckleton and Viametsky, and even Ranchon, if Ranchon finds a little bit more pace. Lambert has gone from having a really easy P3 to being, looking like, P6 might not be such a bad finish for him if things continue this way.
Tell you what, maybe will not be. I get a feeling this is maybe why Vasilevsky has just backed off and stopped battling with Freckleton, because they can see how Lambert is being reeled in right now. It's like the fish at the end of a fishing line, just being brought in with every turn of the wheel into this fight. Another new fastest lap of the race from Samborski. He extends his lead over Duresho to 4.3 seconds, that 123.69 from the American out in front, who we haven't seen since the start, since he's been so to dominant display in a little bubble by himself. It's all about this battle for the last podium position available, and who is going to come away the victor with that third place. Can Lambert hold on? Will it be Freckleton? Will it be Vasilevsky? Or could Ludovic Ranchon pluck something out of the bag and get himself on the podium? Not long left to find out. And a shout out to one of our sponsors for this series, Apex Racing Academy, with 29 data packs, setups, track guides, integration with the RRS. They have weekly group racing sessions and much, much more. Make sure you check those guys out. We see Vasilevsky once again starting to turn up the dial in terms of pressure against Freckleton. 0.4 of a second between these two. Freckleton getting a little bit loose there, Sam. I don't know if you quite caught that as they came in towards Sud curve. It's getting a bit twitchy now, isn't it? A bit nerves maybe starting to creep in. The pressure is building for all three drivers.
It is. I mean, Freckleton's almost got it the worst as anybody. He's got he's got this constant pressure from Vasilevsky behind him, and he's also got this pressure building of slowly catching Lambert, but have to be almost inch perfect every lap to catch Lambert. So, Freckleton's got it all to do at the moment. He's under so much pressure, and you're right, was a little bit wide through turn 16 in the final corner, a little bit loose, and Larry managed to collect up any oversteer that he had. And they are certainly now catching up to the back of Shane Lambert. Lambert, though, found a little bit of his pace that he was lacking, only now 0.3 off his personal best, and actually a tad quicker than Freckleton and Viametsky behind him. So, I think Lambert at the moment starting to cool down. He's found his rhythm once again, but while he was finding it, Freckleton can now see Lambert. Lambert can now see Freckleton. The pressure is building, and if there's any time that you're going to make a mistake, it's going to be as the race dies on, when you've got a lot of pressure, when the tyres are a little bit old, when the fuel's low and the car is a little bit quicker. It's the prime conditions for cracking under pressure, as it were.
On to lap 18. New personal best from Freckleton. That is how much he is pushing. Being marginally quicker by 0.03 of a second than Lambert last time around. Lambert he's got a bit on the previous lap. He did pull out a 10th over Freckleton, and that gap stagnating at the moment, around about 1.6 to 1.7 seconds, yo-yoing back and forth between those two as There is Owens trying to find his way past Lawrence. This is the battle for 9th place right now. Owens, one of the drivers, able to pick up a few places off the start at 5 places. So back in 15th. Likewise, Lawrence, he's gained 3. He's up into 9th at the moment, and this could change potentially as tentative on the brakes from the pair of them. That's a really tricky corner, isn't it, Spitz Curve? Seb, to pick your entry, especially if you're running on a single monitor.
Oh, yeah, it really, really is. Much of this track actually is deceptively tricky. Lots of late apex corners, ones that, yeah, you're right. If you're on a single monitor or just not in tune with the car, can be really difficult. Lots of time to be found out on the track. That's why drivers absolutely adore this place. Viametsky, this time by Tim, not really close to Freckleton in any way, shape or form. Ranchon, look at that lap time of 23.8, some 5/10 quicker than Viametsky up ahead of him. Was Ranchon maybe just saving his tyres a little bit, just playing the long game, sort of cooling, letting the tyres cool down, letting the drivers up ahead sort of start to heat up and start to be embroiled in this battle? And is Ranchon going to come for another go here, Tim?
Well, let's find out, Sam. Let's find out, because Freckleton now coming under pressure from Viametsky. As we see, talking about pressure, Owens and Lawrence having another go at one another onto the brakes, and this looks like it could be the move done by Owens into Spetska, but runs in a bit too deep, and that's going to allow Lawrence to come straight back at him. There's this half spin in the background there. I think that might have been Yari Kulmanen potentially. It's onto the brakes we come, and surely Owens is through against Lawrence up into 9th. That's 6 places gained for the American. 3 Americans comfortably inside the top 10 here in Germany. They scream past the camera. Making it shake so much. So they head through Sachs Curve. It's plenty of banking around there. You can really hook the car up and get on the power early and allow the car just to push into the ground and turn you around. There's another new passive best there from Viametsky. He's starting to turn up the pressure onto Freckleton, but he's getting really close, because as much as they have inch by inch, slowly clutching Lambert. Another 2 tenths taken out of Lambert. Ranchon is coming. There he is. He knows there's only 6 laps left remaining here today. And if he wants to get up any more places, he needs to start making moves, because you know full well, Seb, that Viametsky and Freckleton are going to put up an absolutely biblical fight. And all it takes is, as you mentioned, Seb, 1/2 mistake from Lambert, and he's drawn right into this mix.
He certainly will be, and also Ranchon hasn't really had to do that much overtaking on track, so I'd hazard a guess that he's got quite a lot of DRSs in his pocket. So Ranchon is really gonna be a dark horse in this race. If you are, Viametsky, you have to be aware. Freckleton as well. I think Lambert, as the laps sort of go on, where he's just about to stay ahead of Freckleton, that eases is his race, because, especially if you're Ranchon, it's going to take you a few laps to get past, Viametsky, Freckleton and Lambert. So I think, Lambert is looking in a better spot every lap, although Freckleton now has just broken the 1 second barrier between himself and Shane Lambert. So Lambert now going to really be under pressure, especially down this long straight towards the hairpin. Ludovic Ranchon, though, really Tim needs to start getting these moves done. He's got the pace. We can see he's got the pace, but he needs to start making the moves, because time is quickly running out.
Well, we know from the series that if history's taught us anything, that Ranchon is generally faster than Lambert, Freckleton and Viametsky. But past performance does not relate to future endeavours. And can he make a way past? It remains to be seen. We've got 4 laps left remaining. If from round 7. Samborski leads from Duresho. Lambert still holding on to that last podium place, but he has Freckleton, Weiselmowski and Roundshot in that order, taking you up to 6th place, hot on his heels. One tiny mistake from any of them, and it all changes. A new personal best from Lambert, pulling out 3 tenths there in these final few sectors over Freckleton. He's getting a wriggle on. Lots of DRS usage starting to come into play right now as Weiselmowski rented in a little bit since then. Gallus 7th, Lobo 8th. Owens and Lawrence going to round out your top 10 with Kulman and Mallow, Shindoy, and Jason Sieg somehow still running despite getting caught out in that opening lap issue. Bonamati, we lost him on lap 14 when he retired the car. Shirakawa, lap 2, and then Stuart Barhart unfortunately did not make the first corner after being caught up in a massive accident off the start line, which I'm surprised still that Sieg has managed to keep that car going. I do not know how. But Weiselmowski really closing in on Freckleton. This is the last thing that Freckleton needs because he wants to get into the back of Shane Lambert. He wants a place on the podium. You can see it practically, he can almost touch it. But he has to defend to Weiselmowski and Ranchon. Then it's going to be game over in terms of getting onto the podium. The best he can hope for right now is Ranchon to start making advances on Weiselmowski into these next couple of laps that will give him the gap to go after Lambert. But even then, Seb, 3 laps left remaining. I'm not sure whether he can get it done. It's going to be intriguing, this one. Don't go anywhere.
Certainly do not go anywhere whatsoever. Ranchon, he's really had a tale of 2 races. I mean, it looks like in some laps he's just so much quicker than the drivers up ahead, and then other laps he just doesn't really have much more pace or any more pace than, you know, Weiselmowski or Freckleton ahead of him. So I'm not quite sure if Ranchon is really quick on some laps and then he sort of overheats his tyres and has to sort of let them cool down for a lap. I'm not quite sure, but you're right, time is really running out for the French driver. He needs to start making these moves really, really quickly if he wants any hope of even, to be honest, getting to Freckleton. I think Lambert is just one position too far for him at this point in the race. But it just doesn't look like Ranchon is able to sort of get anywhere closer than this sort of 3 or 4 tenth window. And actually, it's Weiselmowski that really is putting the pressure at the moment on in this little group. He's trying to get closer to Freckleton, and I think Freckleton now starting to feel that pressure, although, as I said, that Weiselmowski had a pretty awful Sachs curve, turn 12, really did not get the exit that he would have wanted. And look at this, Tim, Ranchon now right on the back of Weiselmowski.
He is, it's playing right into Freckleton's hands, but Lambert has managed to pull out a few more attempts over Freckleton. That gap now out to, well, was 1.5, he's pulled out another 2 attempts, that's now to 1.7 seconds. Into Einfahrt Parabolica as they head through. Parabolica, here comes Ranchon. Weiselmowski knows he sells in the dummy, and Ranchon is going to be on the inside. Who's going to be the last late breakers? Oh, throughout the perennial anchor, nearly into the back of Dylan Freckleton, who just about managed to avoid it, but that is Ranchon. He has gained a place. He's up into 5th. That's now at 12 places. Now it's time to get after Freckleton. Lap 24 out of 26. What could the Frenchman do? What has he got left up his sleeve as Lambert pulling away even further now over these 3? The gap out to 2 seconds. There's another new fastest lap of the race from Samborski. 1:23.1. Can he get into the 1:22, Seb, under race conditions? Well, he's only got 2 laps left to do it.
If we know Eddie Samborski, he'll be thinking about how he can do it. He loves getting these fastest laps at the end of the race. I mean, he's, you know, just for comparison, he did a 23.1 last time by. Drezhko in second, a 24.6. That's what, 1.5 seconds quicker than second place he's running at the moment. I mean, Samborski on another level. You can see why, you know, he's had all of this success in the Formula 3.5 series before. Ranchon did a great job with that move. I'm not quite sure why Freckleton decided to defend the inside heading into the hairpin. It was almost defending from fresh air. Ranchon was never going to make the move on Freckleton. It was always going to be about Weiselmowski. That's going to be a late end.
Oh, he's just overcooked it there. And this could allow Weiser to come back at him. No, Ranshaw manages to get back onto the racing line to cover it off. Luckily, that is such a slow speed corner, the slowest part on the circuit. And Dylan Freckleton lives to fight another day, but this plays into Lambert's hand. He's pulled out another 8 attempts on this lap alone. And a bit of shout out, just these closing stages from one of our sponsors, Virtual Racing School, is looking to improve your on-track performance with 50+ data packs for road and oval racing. They have setups, track guides, data analysis software, and one-on-one coaching. Make sure you check those guys out. Maybe you can improve your performance out in iRacing. On one of our top split broadcasts like this one. We'll see you out on the track soon, but the white flag is in the air. 1 lap left to go. One more set of opportunities for Ranchon to find a way past Freckleton, but he might be a bit too far back. 6 attempts is the gap. How many DRSs has he got up his sleeve? Ludovic Ranchon, there you go. There's one of them. We know. He activates the DRS. He is in full attack mode now. He is hunting down Freckleton. Can he get it slowed up in time? Can he get up the inside? Freckleton goes defensive into Spetscurve, and he's going to hold on, but he's going to be compromised on the exit, and Ranchon knows it. He's going to be trying to get on the throttle as soon as possible, but Freckleton might just have done enough to defend from the Frenchman. It's the UK versus France, 2 of the age-old battling nations, but through the Suker for the final time comes Eddie Samborski to make it 7 wins from 7 and his 5th Grand Chelem of the season. Pole, fastest lap, led every lap, and the victory for the American. As there comes Carlos Durescio, he's going to pick up 2nd place, a good result from him. Second time on the podium. Best result of the season so far, a 3rd place back at Monza. There is Lambert, first time on the podium for him this season. Great result from him. Freckleton holds off Ranchon. Weiser has to settle for 6th place in the end. As here comes Gallus and Lobo. They're going to finish 7th and 8th place. Wow, Seb, what a grandstand finish in this series yet again. I almost get a bit fed up of saying it because we see it week in, week out.
We certainly do. Formula 3.5 never fails to deliver. Talking of never failing to deliver, Samborski got into the 22s on the final lap. 1 minute 22.96. Samborski, incredible pace once again. Shin Doid, haven't seen much of him in this race. He was involved, I think, in that first corner collision. And just to show Samborski's pace, while all the drivers have only just finished the line, Samborski is almost finished his in-lap.
So shout out to James Mallow. Finished in 11th, up 7 places. It's a solid result for the American. It's been really, other than Omar Baha, who got caught up in that first, first corner start line incident. It's been a real successful race for the Americans. John Owens as well in 9th. He was up 6 places. They've really gone strong here in Germany, and wow. What a race from Germany. So let's take a look back on the replay at the start of exactly how it folded. We can see here that just, wow, he just didn't get away, and Stewart was straight into the back of him, Seb.
I mean, not much that Josh Stewart can do. He would have been expecting his teammate Zeke to get off the line better than he did in Josh Stewart. Having one hell of a roller coaster ride. I mean, you can see why Stewart was unable to continue after the damage that he would have sustained. And let's have a look. This is Ranchon. I am so looking forward to watching this, Tim. What is this going to look like from the Frenchman's perspective?
Wow, the hot knife through butter, isn't it? Just jinxing left, right, dipping, ducking, dodging, diving, and making his way through. That is how, ladies and gentlemen, you make up 11 positions pretty much off the start line. Wow, what an opening lap from him. Spectacular stuff. I mean, I'm going to have to go back and watch that a few times, because even after seeing that once, I'm still not sure how he managed to avoid the carnage. I mean, Stewart basically was flipping and barrel rolling and went literally, how he missed him is he was coming straight across his head. I mean, thank you this is a virtual world, because if it wasn't, you know, the halo would have been fully required here at the Hockenheimring.
Yeah, that's exactly why the Halo was introduced into real-life racing. I mean, Ranchon was lucky there. I think his car made contact with Stewart's. His Stewart's was flailing around, and all the while, Eddie Samborski is just there. I mean, we're about to talk to him, Tim. Does he even know what happened behind him?
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's have a bit of a find out. Well, first off, we'll see more pictures of it. I still can't get over that start. We'll run you through your final standing. Saborski taking the victory here. Obviously, Duresho second. Lambert picking up that last podium place in the end. Looks comfortable from the history books, but for those that are here watching it will know full well it was all but that for the Jaeger Racing driver. Freckleton, and seeing he said that it was the most fun fourth place ever. Clearly a bit of redemption from Okayama last time out. Look at Ranchon in the end, up into fifth, started on the back row of the grid. What a drive from him. Wajzimowski in sixth. Gallus into seventh, Lobo eighth. Owens, group drive from him into ninth. Jay Lawrence, best finisher of all the Aussies. Probably wasn't expecting that one. He rounds out your top 10. James Mullow, another good drive, despite a few issues out on circuit, up 7 places into 11th. Yari Kulmanen finishes 12th, with Shindoi finishing 13th. Then Sieg, I don't know how he quite managed to get it going again after getting clouted by Stewart on the as he didn't get away off the start line. Finishes 14th, nearly one lap down. Bon Marti, we lost him on lap 14 when he retired the car. Shirakawa came back out, had another incident, and retired the car on lap 2 with Stewart and Baha obviously caught up. The main protagonist in that incident didn't even see the first corner, but let's have a chat to our winner here today. And Eddie Samborski, Seb just said to me, do you think Eddie even saw in his mirrors quite what was going on behind him off the start line? Did you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, not to be mean, but that was excellent for me. That ensured I had a clean track, and Carlos is a fantastic driver. I mean, you guys saw he was in the fight. He made an error, which is unfortunate, and he lost time because I didn't see him in the mirrors after like 5 or 6 laps. But Jason has been getting really good starts, so I would have been hung out to dry on the outside. I mean, I would have been third after turn 1 because him and Carlos both would have went to the inside. They're not, they're intelligent. They know where to place their cars, so I would have been third, and then I would have been stuck for, I don't know, half the race maybe, longer. It's hard to say. I mean, it's unfortunate for Jason, but for me, it was like a big old green light down the highway, 4 lanes of nothing,
Well, I mean, it definitely was a defining part of the race, but as you said, I mean, were you surprised? But I mean, we know Carlos is no slouch, let's face it, but were you a little bit surprised with just how strong his pace was and how he was really staying after you for so much of the race? I know he was burning through a few of his DRSs. We did catch that on the stream, but even so, he was really keeping you honest in that opening stage of the race.
Not a surprise at all. He's always been strong here. I was on the limit. I mean, I don't know how much you were watching my car, but I was almost crashing in a few places throughout the lap. I mean, those lap times were the best I've turned all week, period. I mean, I had nothing more. So I just kept trying to do what I could do. And I just, I checked the relative at the start line. I wasn't making any ground. So I was like, all right, stop looking backwards. If you see him in the mirror, he's coming. And after a while, he just wasn't there. A few laps went by, and I was like, something seems wrong. And I looked in the mirrors. I didn't see him. So I don't know. I mean, I must have had an error or something.
Yeah, I think it was just a bit of an error, a combination of he'd been through all of his DRSs, and that's what caused it. Before we just round things out with you, Seb picked up a bit of chat between yourself and I think it was Yuki Shirakawa. Just trying to verify whether that was the world record lap time for the Formula Renault 3.5 around Hockenheimring during qualifying. Have you had any more chance of trying to work that one out yet?
I mean, I could log in real quick and see. I'm almost positive that a Japanese F4 driver has it.
Oh, I think didn't
From
you pick it up? Was it 1 or 2 seasons ago when we visited here?
yes,
From memory, I think.
then
Yeah.
and I think he got bested. If you guys want to bear with me, or as soon as my PC decides to load and I can click on stuff, we can answer that. So qualifying world record is held by Yuki Shirakawa.
Yeah,
Sorry,
right.
Yuki, I probably pronounced that wrong. At 121.954. So I got a ways to go, but I got 4 tenths before you got to worry about me.
Oh yes, that's close but no cigar, as they say. But great to talk to you as always, Eddie Samborski. 7 wins from 7. Well, we'll see you in a week's time. Good to chat to you as always. Seb, I understand you're standing by with another one of our drivers. Who's it you've managed to grab?
I managed to grab our third place driver, Shane Lambert. Shane, welcome once again to the commentary box. I think I'd be negligent if I didn't ask you this at the start. I mean, what did you think of that accident? How did you manage to get through the carnage?
I think I closed my eyes at one point.
I'm not surprised. I'm not
Jesus
surprised.
took the wheel.
I mean, did you sort of actively avoid it, or was it just luck that you managed to get through the other side?
Oh no, I think I felt my stomach open in my throat, and I said, "Jesus, take the wheel." And
I
and
mean,
it happened. It was wonderful.
It's certainly worked for you. A great strategy. So you ended up in third, and it was looking really good for you. You had really good lap times, and then it sort of seemed that you sort of got stuck. Was it behind some lap traffic, and then that allowed the Freckleton, Wieselmetsky, I should say, and Ranchon Battle to catch you up. Did you ever feel that you were in danger of losing your third spot?
I thought I was going to die for a second there. I came out. I think it was a little too hard on the throttle out of turn 2. And the lap car went off to left. That was beautiful, but I got a little overzealous with the throttle, and my car stepped out and started heading towards the wall. So, hey, yeah, I got a massive adrenaline rush from that. So, I think that's what was the main reason he caught up so quickly was my tires were hot. I came to a massive halt, just locking all 4 tires to straighten the car out. So,
that's interesting. You mentioned the tires becoming hot. How long does it take it in these Formula 3.5 cars for the tires to sort of cool down and get to their usual performance?
I feel confident, like really confident in the tires by lap 6 or 7. They start out with a lot of grip, and then lap 2, it goes away and maybe about 40%, 35%, and then it slowly comes back. And as you get into like lap 6 or 7, then you've got massive amount of confidence in the traction.
That's a really, really good insight. Thank you very much, Shane. And so you didn't really feel under pressure then from Freckleton behind you. So are you happy with third? Do you think that Dreshko up ahead was maybe you could have got second, or are you really happy with third today?
Oh man, I definitely appreciate third. I feel like I'm underdressed for the party. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
Yeah.
superb driving by yourself. Second time we're talking to you in the commentary box. You're going to try and make it 3 from 3 next week out at Silverstone?
Yeah, I think that's the plan.
That sounds like a good plan. Well, before we let you go and celebrate your third place and your survival of Turn 1 as well, if anybody you'd like to give a shout out to at all on the broadcast.
My awesome family. They're so wonderful. They're supportive. It's amazing. Our friends who tolerate us talking about it every single day, and people that are joining us here. My wonderful team. It's awesome.
Oh, brilliant.
I'm on cloud 9, I think. Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you very much for coming into the commentary box and talking to us about your race. We hope to see you 1 week's time when we head to Silverstone.
Excellent, man. Take care.
Thank you very much. And Tim, have you managed to find anybody else to have a quick chat to?
I have indeed. I've managed to grab someone who I'm really looking forward to having a chat to. That job be Dylan Freckleton. Wow, what a race for you. You firstly managed to pick your way through the melee of chaos off the start line. And second of all, I think that's going to feel like a little bit of redemption for last time out at Okayama.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I got to be honest, I really enjoyed that one. Yeah, the start, I'm not sure there was a whole lot of skill involved. I kind of just kept going in a straight line, and everything just moved out of my way. So got lucky with that. But yeah, that race was really fun race with Shane.
So you were like Moses with it parting the seas in front of you and everyone just moving it out of the way. I mean, you came close in the end. You started to catch Shane, bit by bit, but was it just obviously the threat of Eric and Ludwig who were behind you that just sort of just caused you to not be able to quite find that definitive edge to catch Shane in the end?
I was flat out. Those last probably 15 laps, I was completely flat out. I couldn't do any more. So I'm not disappointed because that was pretty much all I had.
Well, hey, you can't ask for much more than that, really, can you? I mean, I saw you put in the chat that was the most fun you've ever had over a 4th place. And congratulations on that one. Next time out, we're heading across our home track. Myself being British and Seb as well. I think you will classify us that at Silverstone. Looking forward to it. It was last time we visited there. It was definitely a war of attrition from memory.
Yeah, it tends to be. I don't think I've ever gone that well at Silverstone, but it's a fun track though, so I'll enjoy it either way.
Exactly, and that's what it's mostly about. Before we let you go, Dylan, anyone you want to give a shout out to at all?
Just thanks to Eddie. He does a lot of work sort of putting all this together, and thanks to you guys for the broadcast that you put on.
Hey, when it's racing like that, Dylan, it's an absolute pleasure of ours. It's still Freckleton. He picked up 4th place here today at 5 places in round 7 at the Hockenheimring. Wow, Seb. Wow. I said it before the race. I'll say it again. From green flag to checkered, drama, excitement, unpredictability, thrills and spills. Here today in Germany, you either gained big or you lost big, and there was nothing in between.
There certainly wasn't. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a crazier start to any race ever that I've ever commentated on. And it just kept on getting better from there. You know, the Lambert, Freckleton, Ranchon, Wieser-Metzky fight was just so intriguing to watch. And it would just be made a little bit better if Samborski was a little bit more under pressure. Dreshko did, a sterling job. And, talking to Samborski, he really did feel the pressure, at least for quite a few laps. So that was interesting. But superb race. And we didn't even have our sort of main names in there. Sieg was out after the first lap. Baha, Stewart, Shirakawa as well. So what are we in for when we in 1 week's time when we head to Silverstone?
Well, I think we'll look forward to that very much. And coming up on the channel, that's pretty much done and dusted for entertainment here on the Saturday evening on Apex Racing TV. Tomorrow night, though, myself and Seb, we're back, but in different series. I'll be back at the SRF Weekend Warriors. It's round 7 from Indy on the road circuit. That's always big rig, big action, big drama. Tune in for that one. And then at 9:30, we have got IGP Fun at Phillip Island. That's going to be an interesting one, all about slipstreaming in the Dallara F3s. Seb will be in the commentary booth for that one. 2 cracking ways to spend your Sunday evening here at Apex Racing TV. Don't forget to give us a like, hit the subscribe button so you stay up to date whenever we go live. But I have been Tim Cox with Seb Bosher-Williams. John Robertson has been the virtual production tailor. And we'll see you in a week's time when the iRacing Formula Renault 3.5 Championship heads to the iconic Silverstone.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.